Good morning. So what do we know and what do we want to share about the work that we do and how we make progress? Here's going to be the thing, guys. One of the things that's going to be most important to understand, what's the difference between saying what we're doing and actually getting that thing done? What's the difference between a choice and a decision? Here's how it starts. You'll hear often that people say we need to speak things out loud and how speaking things into existence is a real thing. We'll also often hear that it's very important for us to be able to not only speak things into existence, but as well to be able to write those things down and to track them. Here's why. There is a major difference between the things we choose and the things that we actually do. How so, you may ask? The difference between a choice and a decision is a choice happens internally. If you don't speak it out, if you don't write it down, if you don't share it with yourself, then it's just something that you're considering. It is not a decision until you take action. And that's what we're talking about this morning, is how to actually go from choosing things to deciding things. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Let's talk about it. Just the neighborhood walk as always, guys. It is 6:53 in the morning. Thank you for being here. Here on the East Coast of the United States, Northwest Maryland. Thank you guys for stopping in. As you do so, please let me know where you're checking in from and what time of day it is where you are. How do choices work? We're always presented with a multitude of options. Options for how we want to eat, when we want to eat, where do we want to work, how do we want to travel, what school do we want to go to. All of these options, and then there are opportunities to make choices. When we make these choices and take advantage of these opportunities, we're ultimately, in most situations, looking for something that is going to be a positive return for us. That is the catalyst. That is the first step towards making a decision, is making a choice. Now, for so many of us, things can go awry. Here's how. We don't commit to what we've chosen. It's still a thought. We're still straddling the fence. Because of that, we have a tendency to not do things until much later. Canada, good morning, welcome in. Am I talking about a poem? No. Good morning. You. East Coast, United States, Maryland. Thank you guys for being here this morning. Thank you for being a part of the walk and talk. This morning we're talking about the difference between a choice and a decision. There's a little view from the top of the hill. So, Family decisions as a head, we need to approach those the same way. A lot of thoughts on Carmelo Anthony, but I'll broach those in a different discussion. So now that we have this understanding, now that we know that in order for us to get started on anything, there are choices that need to be made. When we start with choices, and we have so many of them, we may choose to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but not actually get up until 7. We may choose to get out and walk every day, but not actually go out for walks at all and just get into whatever the day involves. We may choose to talk to someone on the job about a promotion, but never do that, and instead just end up in constant conversations and situations where there are complaints, but there is no productive communication. Choices are only something that we think about doing. It is not until we take action that it becomes a decision. And the first action that you need to take is speaking it and writing it down. Because until you speak it and write it down, there's nothing to lock it in for you. There's nothing for you to be able to say you're committed to. There's nothing to hold yourself accountable to. It is just a conversation. It's just a thought. It's good. Being on time is YouTube supremacy? What? Okay. Oh, good morning. AI glasses, that's funny. So, to stay in context of what we're talking about this morning, when we start talking about actually making a decision, again, a decision will be backed up by actions, right? A decision is something you can see. You rarely see anyone's choice. If you don't write it down, if you don't commit to it, if you don't speak it out loud, then you can always say, oh no, yeah, that's, like I chose, I didn't mean to go this way, or I didn't mean to do this thing, or I didn't mean for that to happen. No, I decided that I wanted to lose weight, or I decided I wanted to make more money, or whatever it is you could say you decided. But if you don't have any concrete evidence, it's not about other people, it's about yourself. You can always make excuses for why it didn't happen because you don't have anything to hold yourself accountable. So making a decision, when you write it down and you put it on paper, when you speak it out loud and you say it's something you're going to do, not getting it done no longer has excuses. Not achieving it, not meeting the mark no longer comes with the ability to be able to say that it is some way, some other person's fault, or it's a mistake. You have to now be accountable for what you said you were going to do for you. Good morning. Thank you for being here, everyone. Aaron, thank you. Thank you guys for being here. Now, when we talk about, earlier someone had mentioned, I want to take a look, it was, what about taking responsibility for the family? It was wisdom is, how about family decisions as a head? It's the same thing. As the head of a family, you have to be able to set the course. As the head of your family, you need to be able to make decision on what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, and then set the expectation on what to do, when to do it, who's going to do it. You have to create that structure because you are the head of the family. So if it doesn't happen and it falls short, it's not something you can say is anyone else's responsibility. It's not something to pass off. But you also have to communicate that. And in order to be able to communicate that, you have to speak with your family. You have to let them know, here is what the goal is. Here is how we plan on getting there. Here are the assignments. Here is my responsibility. So often, as leaders, heads of families, as people who are responsible for making the decisions, there is a lack of vision. And if you cannot convey the vision to those who are supposed to benefit most from it, that falls back on you. One of the biggest things that I've come to understand is that when we make decisions versus choices, the accountability falls on the decision maker. When you own the accountability, then you also provide for the people the things necessary to achieve the goals that you set forth. If I say as the head of the household that this is where we're going and this is what we're going to do, and then I don't give you the tools necessary in order to achieve it, then that falls on me. We all have to be able to accept and understand that there are actions that we need to take. And when we understand those things, as I said before, speaking it out loud and writing it down gives us a roadmap for us to be able to follow. It gives us the mission we need in order for us to be able to move forward. Also had another comment here. What do you think about emotional validation? Again, it's a matter of whether or not it's emotional validation for yourself or emotional validation for someone else, right? So if there's emotional accountability for yourself versus emotional accountability for someone else, it comes at different levels. And you still have a requirement to be accountable to a degree. Guys, it is now 7:04 in the morning. I want to thank everyone for being here. So the difference between a choice and a decision is a choice has no static hold. A choice does not require for you to take any action. A choice is out there and it can change on a whim. However, when it comes to a decision requires for you to take action. A decision requires for you to be able to see and to be able to identify that you're going to do something and then hold yourself accountable and get those things done, right? There are so many opportunities for us to make decisions and take actions to positively impact our lives that so many of us miss out on because we're not prepared to commit. We're not prepared to share, speak it out loud, share where the goal is, and then be accountable to ourselves and not to others. Welcome in. I want to thank you guys for being here this morning and being a part of the walk and talk. Thank you so much. Juan, appreciate you. Good to see you back in again. Thank you for being a part, sharing in the conversation and contributing. My focus with everything that I do on this channel and everything we do to build on this channel is about positivity, growth, discipline, and self-accountability. if you have nothing to hold yourself accountable to, if you have nothing to be able to drive you and move you forward, if you do not possess the will to achieve, then it becomes very easy to blame circumstances, situations, others for the outcome of your life, and you become subservient to them. The key for rising above this is, one, starting to understand what value means. What is value of yourself? You will get up and do things for $1. If you will do anything a company tells you for $1, but you won't do what's necessary for yourself just to be the version of you you want to be, then your life is in someone else's control. You're just existing. The whole point of taking actions, taking steps, making decisions, setting goals, and moving towards them is to ensure you're living your life. It's insane that so many people at this point in the world don't have anything to live for. They don't have anything to work towards. All they've been shown and all they've been taught is complaints, anger, sadness, frustration. And so all they know how to show is hate, disgust, and rage. And so when they're in the face of someone who's sharing something that's of value, and we can't fall victim to it, we don't want to be the same way. Just because we don't agree with what someone else says doesn't mean that they don't get the right to say it. We can listen. You don't have to agree, but at least by listening, you have the opportunity to gain a better understanding. Hello, how are you doing this morning? Peace to you. Is that broccoli, bro? In order to circumvent any conditioning, and everything, all behavior is learned behavior. In order to circumvent any conditioning, and I'm talking right now to bro, I want to say that's broccoli car. I want to say that to circumvent any condition, it is going to require that you start taking action, noticeable action of your own life, right? We have to start being able to look at ourselves in a way that we can be understanding of our behaviors and not be critical of them. Everyone believes there needs to be a critical assessment. It doesn't need to be critical. It just needs to be honest. It just needs to be real. You can assess yourself and say, hey, I'm happy where I am, and you can live in that space. Or you can choose not to. It's all a matter of, again, where it is you want to be. And then the choices that you make should drive your decisions. And your decisions should drive your behaviors. And when your behaviors coincide with the choices, then your outcome should be what you expect. And it's not about spending all of your time locked in on being super serious and not enjoying life. It's simply about understanding what enjoying life looks like to you. And then you do that. So decisions require action, whether that action is speaking it out to create accountability, or writing it down, or taking the actual steps. Earth guy, listening is understanding. Unk not hurt. Who is that? Fizzard? Lizard? Yeah, Unk not hurting. I'm good. Thank you very much, Mr. Knightley. No problem, 4111. I'm pretty sure I was butchering the beginning of your name. So when we want to place into the appropriate context anything that we do, when we want to be able to categorize and live in the space that's appropriate for the path that we're traveling, it starts with the choice, and then it has to become a decision. There has to be an action that says this is how we're moving forward. And again, as I said, that action might just be speaking it out loud, to say to someone, to say to yourself, here's what we're going to do. Because if we don't do it, then we've said we were going to do it. It's no longer on, oh, I forgot. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, well, no, I hadn't really made up my mind. All of those things go out the window. When you make it verbal and you write it down, you're making a commitment to yourself. And now you have a responsibility to follow through. What is this? Listening is not understanding. Listening is the beginning of understanding. I'll take that one. The nature of clarification and multiple lines of reasoning that converge at a central point. And this combination of facts creates understanding. Oh, that's good. So here's what I want to say to that. I like that. That was who was that? I want to say Broly. Okay, I'm gonna stick with 4111. So yes, listening is the beginning of understanding. We have to be able to hear, not just listen, but we have to be able to hear. Listening is the start where we say, hey, I want to stop talking long enough to process what's being said. So I have to listen. So whether we're listening for vehicles, whether we're listening for horns, whether we're listening to music, whatever it is we're listening for, we have to be able to hear it and understand it, right? So that we can approach it appropriately. So thank you for that clarity. Us Yanks, man. Why we gotta be Yanks? Action solidifies commitment. Actions, yes, actions codify or establish decisions. The actions you take, because this choice and decision are distanced by that action. Making a choice, thinking about something, and then doing something different, right? So you could be thinking about dinner, chicken or fish, then you can eat a salad. You decided to eat a salad. Even if you didn't decide until that moment you walked down and you saw there was no chicken or fish option. And in order for you to do it, it would take additional steps on your part. And you're like, I don't want to take those additional steps. That's a very simplified version of it. But what I'm attempting to show there is that if you speak the decision of, I'm having chicken tonight, and then the circumstances put you into a space where you have to do certain behaviors to be able to have that chicken, and this isn't, man, don't y'all make no chicken jokes. If you have to take certain steps to eat that chicken and you're not prepared to do so, or you're not willing to do so, then that change of course is intentional. It's intentional to be able to complete the goal of just eating at this point, right? But when we make a decision, if you make a decision a week in advance that you're going to have fish for dinner, you know there are things you need to do to put that in place, including ensuring that there's fish available. You need to take the steps. When we start to do that, then we start to get a better idea and a better understanding of what it means to make a decision versus a choice, and how we can control the outcome. Somebody say chlorinated chicken. I don't even know what that means. I want a steak, but I don't have the money. Work on it. Steak can be in the future. Oh my goodness, here we go about chlorinated chicken. Now I'm gonna go a little off topic, guys. This is not necessarily going to be about decisions or choices. We have to research the things that we're told, right? We have to understand when we're being sold something. Here's the big deal. And the thing about it is, so many people will go to a channel like mine, where I have a very small audience, and the stream doesn't move so fast. And the likelihood that your post, your comment, your chat is going to go up on the screen is fairly high. People will make that decision, and then they'll come in and they'll say derogatory things, they'll speak negativity. That's a decision. That's a choice you're making. That choice is driven by your need to be seen and to speak in that space. Here's the thing, I don't kick many people. And so it gives a lot of opportunities for trolls and people who want to be negative to show up. And I look to stay in a positive space. And for the most part, I believe I do. When we start talking about being sold to, when we start talking about conspiracies and chlorinated chicken and things that are intended to be incendiary and divisive, to continue down the path, the decision to continue down that path does not lead to productivity, right? So what do? How do I proceed? I would like to continue to have the conversation with those who are here for the conversation about the positive possibilities of turning our choices into our decisions and taking steps to garner greater control of our lives. And ultimately, that's what we want. If you don't want to participate in the conversation, that's cool. But you can ask to respect those who do, right? And when we are unable to do so, then it just leads to more of this. I want to continue to share with you guys. I want to continue to let you know that the positivity that I receive on this channel is much greater than the hate, right? And then as I continue to grow this channel, as I continue to take steps, welcome in Wisconsin. How are you doing? Prods, how are you doing? Welcome in. Chicken is cleaned with water that has chlorine added to it, but all of your drinking water also has a degree of chlorine added to it, and it's an attempt to remove the impurities. It's just treated water. Very small percentage, but you know, if you get enough clips of enough things to make it look like, oh, you guys are being poisoned by your food, and then you take a look and here's the part that's going to be funny. Here's the part that's going to be funny. I'm gonna talk about this for just a second, right? When we talk about, thank you very much, 4111. We talk about the food in the United States is all doctored. It's all, you know, it's horrible. It's bad for you. And then you look at the health of the United States and you're like, well, we need to give people more free access to health care. And then you're like, well, those two things are working together because the pharmaceutical companies just want to sell you more medicines. And then we start to go down this rabbit hole. And here's the thing. You got to clean your food before you eat it. Right? Here's the other part about it. That chlorinated chicken that is flying across the internet now. It's chlorinated chicken. What in the world? So it starts to eat into your life, right? It's designed to sell you something. And you can't see that. You can't see, and here's why. It is human nature to consume and not ask questions about the things that you want to hear, about the things that are saying what you agree with, right? It's the echo chamber. It's going into a room of people who think just like you and saying something that everyone in the room is going to agree with, which gives you more confidence and leads you to believe that you're right. Even if you're in a room of 7 people who all agree with you, and there are 100,000 people telling you you need to get out of the room, that's a bomb. But you and the 7 people in the room are like, nah, it's just the clock. I think you guys are overreacting. When you reside within an echo chamber, you do not know until it's too late. And here's the biggest thing. And this has nothing to do with what your political affiliation or any of those things are. It has primarily to do with human nature. The other thing to keep in mind about this process and to keep in mind about what's happening is when you become a part of the echo chamber and you embrace and you share what's being said, for so many, even when you're shown, hey, you're wrong, you change the conversation versus saying, you know what, you're right, versus saying, hey, I was wrong. Earlier, I just saw somebody's comment that says, listening is understanding. I read another comment with the clarity. I took a moment to say, hey, you know what, you're right. Listening isn't understanding. Listening is the beginning of the process. If we don't have the ability as humans to be able to understand and to look at ourselves as being fallible, to understand that the people who we put in places of leadership and who we choose to follow can be fallible. If we don't accept that, if we refuse to accept that possibility, then we place ourselves in the positions of being sheep. And so many of us want to deny being sheep. I'm not a sheep, I'm a free thinker. No, you're not. You're not, because the system beats on you and beats on you and beats on you until you fall into line. And the biggest thing that makes people fall into line is no one ever asks the question, why? OG Kicks, welcome in, man. So I used to work for this company. The company I used to work for, they had this scheduling process. I'm not super old school, but I'm kind of old school. So there used to be a point where you went to work and you worked until the bosses said go home. Didn't matter if that was a 12-hour day, 16-hour day, or a 3-week day. Like, it didn't matter. You worked until they said go home. And then you got paid what they decided to pay you when they decided it was time for you to go home. Over time, unions, which are organized gangs, listen, unions came from the fact that young people couldn't find jobs. And so what they decided to do was keep other people from being able to perform the job until they were able to make money out of it. And then they told the people to form unions. But unions were needed because there were no practices. There was no 40-hour workday. There were no breaks. There were no expectations on compensation. There were no retirement plans. There was nothing. You went to work, you died. Kids were going to work like as soon as they could walk. If they could functionally figure out how to put something together, they were being put to work. So unions were a necessity. Here's the thing. I mention the unions because at some point, somebody had to ask, why are we doing this, right? So the company I used to work for, they said, hey, we're putting together a schedule. Here's what the availability has to be. Your availability as a full-timer needs to be all the time. You need to be available from midnight to midnight. Don't make sense. We're not open at midnight. I'm not putting in availability from midnight to midnight. No, that's just what we do. Yeah, I need you to show me where it says I need to be available midnight to midnight. Sat down with one manager, sat down with another manager, had conversations with leadership over and over again. I went through the company's paperwork. I don't see anywhere here where it says I have to be available from midnight to midnight. You have to have open availability. Nope, you need to show me that. You need to show me where it says I have to constantly be available. And this is because I'm working in retail at this point. So during this time while I'm working in retail, I questioned it. No one else did. No one else did. I made it clear, I don't want to be here at 9 and 10 o'clock at night. Well, you know, you're going to have to do some closes. Listen, I don't care what you say I have to do. I'm telling you I would rather not be here at that time. And so I studied and I got to understand the scheduling process. Once I understood the scheduling process and what I was required to put in, then I put that in. I didn't close for months. Team members, man, why don't you ever have to close? Because I asked questions, I got an understanding, and I did what I was required to do, not what I was told to do. At some point in our lives, we're going to have to do what we're supposed to do, but we need to know at least what that is. We can't just be sheep. You can't just bow and stand up and bow because somebody told you that's what you have to do. Oh man, you can't work, you can't build a career if you jump companies every 2 years. Man, millennials came out, millennials hit the workforce and they were like, yeah, I'm gonna be here for about 18 months. They were like, what? Nah, they were like, yeah. They were like, oh, you don't want me to tell you? Okay, I won't tell you, but I'm committed. And every 2 years, they're jumping to another job and they're making more money and they're preparing themselves for the life they want to live. I come from a generation of people who now, I have brothers and sisters who have now retired and have their retirement funds and their 401ks and all the things that are necessary for them to be able to live a happy life, for them to be able to say, hey, I'm done. I'm going to go enjoy the remainder of my life and live in whatever way I choose to. I'm going to travel or whatever it is I want to do. So when they get there, I've asked some of my siblings, hey, what do you want to do? Man, I'm good. And I don't know, man, I'm just good. Why would I retire? Now I'm in agreement with retiring. I don't believe that we ever retire. We just have to figure out what it actually means to work. When your work is living your life, you never retire. You just continue to live your life. If we are not willing to ask questions, if we are not willing to ask ourselves why we do the things we do, if we can't challenge our own behaviors and our own decisions, then there's no way that we're going to be able to say, hey, I think free. Hey, I make my own decisions. And this is not about controlling anyone else. This is not about becoming something for someone else. It's not about trying to reach some other goal that someone's setting for you. I'm not sharing with you that you need to be in any way like me. I'm not sharing with you that you need to want the things I want or follow the path I follow. I'm simply encouraging you to be free. If you want to think, be, act in any way, understand, at least figure out, try to understand what it is that you're trying to do and why. So many people are never happy. There are a lot of people who are never happy. And the primary reason so many people are never happy is because they don't know what happy looks like. I'm gonna say it again. So many people are never happy. And the primary reason that so many people are not happy is because they don't know what happy looks like. If you do not know what happy looks like, when you get there, you can't appreciate it. You can't enjoy it. You'll throw it away. because you don't know what happy looks like. You don't understand what it means to be content. You don't understand what it means to have joy. If you don't know what it is and you don't know what it looks like chlorinated chicken, you're throwing away your happiness because somebody else told you that's not what it's supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to look. And you don't know the difference. Did you say no to tofu? Tofu is just soybeans, man. If you say no to tofu, you still got soy in your hamburgers. If you buying ground beef, those handmade patties they got soy and kangaroo in there too. But that's just a conspiracy. Don't listen to me. Thank you guys for being here this morning. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for being a part of the walk and talk this morning. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to share. Looks like Iron says, question everything. It's the key to a free mind. Yeah, including yourself. Thank you very much, Bucks. Thanks for being here. So, main thing we're talking about this morning is the difference between a choice and a decision, right? Major difference between a choice and a decision is a decision will be followed with action. Whether that action is speaking it out loud, writing it down, or taking the actual action to complete the decision. Those are going to be the primary drivers. I'm going to say thank you for you guys stopping in. Please take a moment, go past the channel, like, subscribe, share, take a look at some of the content. Come back for more. As we continue to grow, we'll continue to offer more. Thank you guys. I want you to have a blessed Tuesday. And as always, guys, keep showing up, keep growing up, keep blowing up. Right now, it is 7:34 in the morning. You guys take care. God bless.